Hello, and welcome to the new episode of Dune Awakening, the direct episode 2. I really loved the first one. I think it was pretty well made. The only thing I would have loved to see changed is that they're showing the trailer maybe first and then talk about it, or show some gameplay while they are talking about the specifics. Because there was a problem in the first one, right? We have never seen gameplay, we never really knew how the game will feel or look like exactly, and they were talking about the grand ideas and how they are managing certain gameplay aspects, and it's like, okay, that's all cool, but telling me something and showing me something are completely two separate things. So yeah, don't do that. Like I'm always against that, because it makes it so easier for the people to understand your vision when they have first seen the gameplay, and then they see actually what you were talking about, or again, like, show gameplay while you were talking about it, right? So I hope they're doing this time. They had some time to think about it, and this time we're talking about the lore, like what if, and I think some other stuff as well. It sounded definitely interesting. It seems like they're picking topics which will be important for this game, and that's good. I have seen so many directs where they just talk about fluff, really. Mostly fluff. Whoa, that was space. What the hell? Are we going to space? Oh my. Like, now, see? Now I'm curious. What is going on here? Well, we have seen that worm before. Let's crank this up a bit.
Hello and welcome back
Hello,
to
Zoe!
Awakening Direct, our series where we discuss all things Dune Awakening. So thank you so much for joining us back here on Arrakis.
Yes.
Starting today's episode off with a look at a trailer that we unveiled just recently at Summer Game Fest.
Oh.
Then we will welcome back Joel Bylos, the creative director for Dune Awakening, to take a deep dive into the history.
Oh,
and
character
talk about the
creation.
spark that ignites,
Interesting.
well, this inferno, and we'll also answer some questions you might have about the player's spiritual journey on our Arrakis with Leah Talbot, the senior narrative designer. We'll also show some new specifics from the character creator and how you will start your journey on Arrakis and the decisions you will have to make before you embark on your journey. Then finally, we'll close out this.
That is actually a pretty good question.
Shed some light on what makes Dune Awakening an MMO.
Yeah.
Sets it apart from survival games you may have played before. So,
because MMO
kick things off with our new story cinematic.
Has been a term which has been watered down. Yeah, we've seen this before.
Never happened.
Sorry if I'm muting this a bit, because I wanna explain something very quickly before they are actually talking about the important part. They call this an MMO. And Funcom is a studio which actually made real MMOs in the past. Like actual MMOs. And back in the day, when you wanted to define an MMO, what that meant was, well, this is probably something, a game with a server structure where you can have 5,000, then 10,000 people all coming to one place, and they can see each other. Right? They can see each other, and they could interact with each other in some form. Nowadays, even MMOs are not really doing that too often anymore, because they have now layers and all that, right? Like every MMO is doing layers because it's better on the servers. So what an MMO is has changed. And there are people, if you would ask them, hey, is Destiny an MMO? People would say, yeah, Destiny is an MMO. No, really, right? Like, Destiny is not an MMO. The massive is missing because you don't have thousands of people you can just go to, or hundreds of people you can just go to a certain point on the map, without having to launch a dungeon, without having to launch an instance or a layer or something like that, right? So I'm really curious what they mean with MMOs. And now, let's crank this up again.
Thank you very much for inviting me back.
Of course. Obviously, Paul does not exist in this alternate timeline, or rather alternate history.
I
That is
find that
huge.
very
Please
interesting.
walk us
Yeah.
through the thought
I first
process
thought
of
that they
that.
might
Sure. So when we
play
started working on the
before or
game, we
after
knew that
him,
we wanted to have
but he's
different
just
factions. We wanted to have it
doesn't
set on
exist.
Arrakis. And Paul, as a character, casts a shadow over everything that happens there. He's such an important figure to the universe.
Like when you think
And
about it,
we were looking
it
for,
gives you
like,
so
how
many
can we
options.
bring players in, make them feel like they have some agency in this world, and they're not just going to join Paul. And so we looked in the timeline. We worked with our partners.
God, I love
over
that
the
book
States,
stand,
and
by the
we
way.
found like a
That
moment
book
where,
stand is just
Jessica
it's
made a
just
choice
everything.
about the child she was going to give birth to, and in our timeline, she gives birth to that daughter, and that changes everything, right? Paul not being there creates this real vacuum of power on the planet. There's still a lot of the same events occur because Duke Leto was still, training this force of elite fighters that made the Emperor jealous, which made him make a deal with the Harkonnens, which made, the Atreides still end up on Arrakis. But then because of the events that Jessica chose, she is now more tied to the Bene Gesserit faction, and they have trained her as a truthsayer, and she has the recognition of Yue's betrayal before it happens. And that leads to the Atreides being prepared for the Battle of Arrakeen, which means that they manage to defend themselves, which means that they don't get wiped out. And that leads to these major factions being in conflict on the planet of Arrakis.
Let's talk about Lady Jessica's decision then, which, started the whole thing here. Obviously, with her complying to the Bene Gesserit rule of having a daughter, why did she even make that decision in the first place?
Well, she's always been torn in her loyalties, right? She came to the Duke, and she fell in love with the Duke, but she also had the agenda of the Bene Gesserit in her mind, right?
That was
And then
cool.
there's the other side of course,
I love
the Duke
concept arts.
never made her his wife.
She's T-posing. Oh my god, this game is bad.
She has to make a decision.
No.
And of course,
I love
she made
concept
the bold
arts.
decision. In our game, she made the
Especially when you see the final product.
And that that I think that people are very complex, and she had these these very complex ideas going on, and so torn in her loyalties. In this case, she chose the Bene Gesserit.
So let's talk about Arista's, part of the story then. Is she taking up Paul's mantle, or is she just a completely different? I mean, she is a completely different person. What's her agenda? What's her spiel?
I mean, Arista has her own path to walk, right? And the path of the Lisan al-Gaib and the Kuzat's Haderach is not available to her, and it doesn't happen, because events don't play out the same way. She doesn't end up in a situation where she has to face any of that. So she is a precocious girl. She grew up with the.
I have to admit, I have to be a little bit careful here with some of the information they're giving, because I'm a bad person. I've never read the Dune books, so my knowledge is only about the movies. Right. Hashtag spoilers.
Because of course, the end goal of the Bene Gesserit here is that the daughter of House Atreides marries the heir of House Harkonnen in order to create their Kuzat's Haderach.
Do hate that for her, I'm not gonna lie.
So Arista ends up under a completely different set of pressures, right? And that leads to a very different sort of life for her.
So yeah, obviously with the Duke as well as the Baron both being alive, what's happening to Arrakis, to our beautiful planet here? Who has funeral?
Beautiful planet.
So after the war, or
Debatable.
after the Battle of Arrakeen, when the Harkonnen attacked, Duke Leto petitions a Landsrad, and the Emperor decrees that the war can continue on the surface of Arrakis, but it has to be contained there. So he
Interesting.
says it's fine for them to fight as long as they're there, but he also declares that spice still has to flow freely. So he sends the Sardaukar to police the spice harvesting operations and make sure that spice still flows out and into the Imperium, because it's such an important resource.
Yeah, that's the info they didn't give us in the trailer, so this is really important.
In the trailer, it does say at the very end, the Fremen being gone, essentially. Are they gone, or are we figuring out where they went? Where are we at?
I think that's the central mystery of the entire game, right? The Fremen are missing. Imperium propaganda would say that they've been exterminated, but we have our doubts. So as a player, a part of the core story that you'll be following as a player is find the Fremen.
Also, very interesting, there's now a story behind this game, right? Like when you're looking back at Conan
explore their rights, you explore
Exiles, I have to specify.
but where are the Fremen?
There wasn't really a story there.
Can you one day find them? I'm not going to answer that question, but that's part of what the story.
Like they had
Their
some
cultural impact is still very much felt as I'm
environmental storytelling in Conan, but it was like, if you missed it, you missed it. It's not like Elden Ring or Dark Souls. Whoa.
Right, because the Fremen that was their territory, and they were
Look at
extremely
that.
fierce about defending it. And with them not in the area, other people have started to fill in the gaps.
The
I
ray
do wanna
tracing
talk
looks
about
great.
The impact that story and narrative has, though, on Dune Awakening, because it is a survival MMO. If we're looking at the survival part, usually the extent of story in a survival game is, oh no, your plane crashed. Oh no, you're shipwrecked. Oh no, it's an apocalypse. Figure it out. Clearly, that is not.
Oh no, you got
Dune
nailed on a
Awakening.
cross.
There is a lot of
Right,
story
Conan?
to be
Right.
explored for the players.
Absolutely, I think like we want to give players a.
God, can we zoom a little bit closer on the merchandise on the table, please? I need a walkthrough of that because that looks amazing. Can we do that? Please? Please?
It's there. But you follow a fairly in-depth story, and it's kind of always plans within plans. You know, so you're always having to think about what people actually want and what the motivation is. Like, why are you looking for the Fremen? Is it a really important question that you should probably ask yourself as a player? Like, what exactly have you been sent to do this for? And I think these kind of elements provide a little more motivation for players as they explore.
I mean, it is a good question. Like, what would you even do with the Fremen? Why would you need the Fremen in the first place?
Alternate history and timeline.
There's a
lots of different
reason
moving pieces.
that Paul
Can we still expect to see similar beats that, you know,
is meeting the
we know and love
Fremen
from
and is
books
with the
movies?
Fremen.
Absolutely, I think that just because Paul doesn't exist, a lot of the factions have the agendas that they had, right? And they're still trying to achieve the things that they were trying to achieve, even when Paul did exist, right? In his universe. So you will encounter, first of all, characters who maybe would have died in the books due to certain events. They're present in the game. You'll also encounter factions trying to achieve goals, but in a slightly different way.
That looks slick.
Look at that. Right? So for players, it's great because
I need more of
think
the concept
Dune
arts,
fans
man.
should get a kick out of exploring
Again, I'm not an artist,
experiment of like, okay, if Paul's not
but
here,
man,
what
do I
are
appreciate art.
people trying to do, right? And I think that kind of leads to very interesting consequences as you play.
Yeah, I love the far-reaching consequences that has into the future of the game as well. We talked last time already about, you know, respecting the source material, which there is so much to draw from with the books and the movies. How do you make sure when you're creating an alternate history, that's a big step. How do you make sure that you're not veering too far away from that source material?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of like taking the source material as always.
I mean, they already did.
To extrapolate out
Right.
in ways that are
Like,
as logical.
it's like removing, well, Paul, a treatise from Doom,
and my conclusion is yes, I'm here.
or removing Harry Potter from the Harry Potter books. Like,
a lot of sense as a logical conclusion. So we start there.
they
And of
already
course, we have like the
did a huge
our
change.
partners at Legendary and the Herbert Estate who can keep us grounded and keep us in line with what we should be doing, right? So we run a lot of our stuff by them for fact checking.
I love that they are doing this alternate thing.
Timeline document that we've written, and I think it's like 10,000 words of just timeline, and then we've shared that to get it approved by the Herbert Estate and things like that. So we do our research and we always.
Oh, it shows you the
I think it's
timeline
pretty clear from
before you
everything
start the
we've said, from
game.
everything we got to
That's
see so
awesome.
far, that
That's
a lot of love
awesome.
and respect for the Herbert's writing, for the source material.
Love
we've also
that.
seen from the movie.
Huge
So I'm
timeline fan.
sure that the game is in very good hands with you guys, Joe.
Thank you. I mean, I will say, the one thing that we try to do is just make
This game is
sure
in very good
that
hands, and thank you
we
for
preserve
paying
the
me
legacy.
being
And
here.
Part of the reason for doing an alternate timeline
Sorry.
is that we don't.
By the
want
way,
to
Zoe
step
is
on
awesome.
what's been
Just saying.
created that's
I love
amazing.
her
We
as
wanna
a
do the sideways thing and not actually
presenter
ruin any of the
of a lot
canon.
of events.
And it's honestly
And as
so
a,
smart
like,
because in doing so,
creator.
you now opened up this whole new alternate timeline for everyone. And now let's actually hand it over to Leia for a look at how
Yes.
this alternate Arrakis is still just as steeped in spirituality for all of our players.
Yeah, I'm curious how that goes. But that's not Arrakis.
In Dune, Paul uses the Fremen prophecy of the Messiah as a tool for survival, right? He sees the path ahead.
Whoa.
He sees the consequences of this decision, but he
Didn't she
has
also
no
do the
choice
narrative
because
for the
all
Secret
other path
World?
leads
Or am I
to
wrong?
chaos
I might be
and
wrong on this.
to the end of his family's legacy.
I think I'm
The
absolutely
story
wrong on
is
that.
Also one of survival, but
For whatever
you are
reason,
not
it came to my
Paul
mind.
Atreides, and you'll have to embrace the chaos instead of avoiding it. As a part of the story of Dune Awakening, you will
I love her drip, by the
have
way.
the opportunity to explore and experience the religious and spiritual journeys of many of the people you will
When I see all of
from.
this, I get the feeling that there is much more PvE content here than there ever was in Conan Exile, and I appreciate the hell out of that.
Ariste, instead of Paul, has created an entirely different political environment for you to navigate. You will have to evolve in
God,
a
the ray
world of
tracing looks so
turmoil,
good.
a world with no clear dominant force that is embroiled in a long and exhausting war of assassins. This power vacuum is breeding instability, but also opportunity for many.
I wonder how this with the faction works.
Arrakis is a crucible from which...
Like, how do you
many
make sure that
factions
everyone is not
and
just
groups
joining
and sects have
House Atreides
splintered
and the Harkonnen?
spread and festered,
Right.
each with its own set of beliefs.
Because they are, what,
and
4?
waging a war,
5?
against each
4?
other, fighting for their own little patch of desert. Like, for example, the Masquerade, who are a cult of religious fanatics who have copied and twisted even the Fremen way of life. As a player, you may
Whoa.
not be the Messiah, but the spice will still guide you in your journey. You will have
The spice
to
must
learn
flow.
the ways of the desert by following the teachings left by the Fremen and undergo the mystical trials of Akal. Because for the Fremen, learning to survive Arrakis is already in itself a
That looks
spiritual
cool.
awakening, a spiritual journey. Villeneuve's movies have shown us the danger of taking up the mantle of a spiritual leader. They have shown us the power that comes from it, but also the damage it can cause. This story, however, has already been told. Yours has yet to be written.
Oh my god! I can't write. Says the journalist. Former journalist. Well, technically it's still journalist, but... doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm really, like, there's so many questions I
Now, that we know a
have.
little bit about the story of Dune Awakening's Arrakis, let's look
Yes.
at how our journey begins with Niels, producer on our creative team.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's do this. Oh, I am very... Ooh, more art. Yes. That looks awesome.
Hello, my name is Niels Reborg, and I'm a
Hi,
producer
Niels.
here at the creative team at Funcoms. Today I'll be walking you through the first moments of Dune Awakening.
Yes.
Character creation. Where we
Yes.
find out who you are and what you look like. Let's take a look. Here we have our
Whoa.
character
Yeah, we will go
creation.
through this after they're
Expression
done.
customization is one of
I
our
want to
key
take a
pillars in Dune Awakening,
bigger look.
and that starts here. There's a lot of customization options available for you, but if you want a starting off point, or just want to move past the customization and straight into gameplay, you can make use of some of the preset character looks we've got available. If you're like me and like making your own
Oh
character
yeah,
from
they
scratch,
have
however,
vitiligo.
then there's plenty of options for you to play with. You can change your body type and your general body shape.
Oh man, he
Anything
thick.
From height to the
He
thickness
thick.
of your arms or legs to adding freckles or even vitiligo. There's too many small details
Vitiligo?
for me to delve into all of
Eh.
them, but it's safe to say that if you love sliders, we've got plenty of them.
I love sliders. Please give me more.
Apart from being able to tweak the minute details of your nose or your mouth, you can even affect your age.
That's pretty cool.
Look at that. Looks great to me. The other classics like hair, beards, and eyebrows all have different choices for you to make or affect.
That's some lush hair, my friend. That's my hair right now.
Tattoos and facial scars. We even let you choose how faded with age they become.
Huh.
Play around a bit with our makeup options, and soon enough, I think you'll have a character you can enjoy exploring Arrakis with.
He has seen shit.
Now that we've selected our physical appearance, we give our character a name.
Definitely has seen some stuff.
Because we're more than just a pretty face.
Agamemnon.
Customization
Yeah,
is about more
okay.
than just how you look. It's about who you are and where you come from.
Have they told you what I am? Then I will sift your words for lies. Let's begin.
Okay,
Where
that's
were you
there.
born?
Your character's background affects how they get to interact with the people of Arrakis, giving you different dialogue options depending on who
Dialogue
you are.
traits, unique
For the
emotes,
sake of this
okay.
video, we'll be
Deception.
choosing the home planet of the Atreides,
Honorable.
Caladan.
A world of water. Home world of the Atreides.
Next,
Huh.
you determine your caste, where you belong in the strict
Huntsman.
hierarchies of the Imperium. We'll select Na Familia for now, belonging to the noble caste.
Did you give bad advice? Or make a bad deal? To be close to power is to walk the knife's edge.
I wonder how much this, like, what this does exactly. Oh, they are the classes?
Was your mentor?
Unlike the other choices, this gives us a starting ability, something we can use right as we boot into the game. Don't worry,
Recon. I love
you're not
recon
locking yourself into a
strategy.
class or a specific archetype. In
Ah,
Awakening, we allow you to create your own playstyle. So if you want to combine Mentat abilities with those
Oh,
of the Bene
Swordmaster.
Gesserits, all you need to do is find the
Cool.
right people to train you and choose the loadout that works best for you. For right now, though, we'll choose the Mentat.
nice. I like that.
Kneel. Put your hand in the box.
The box. Do I get chicken wings? Are there chicken wings in the box?
I hold at your neck the Gonja bar, the high-handed enemy. Don't pull away or you will die. Great plots are afoot in the Imperium, and the currents of intrigue run deeply. Arrakis is the key, and the Fremen are missing. You
We established
go
that.
to Arrakis as our agent, prisoner. You
Oh,
have
we are
one task.
prisoner.
Find the Fremen. Wake the sleeper. You will know when it is done.
I thought we are the sleeper. Didn't they say that at one point?
And with that cryptic message, your journey begins.
The worm ship. That looks great. It's kind of funny because they probably used a lot of Unreal Engine 5 also in the movies.
Now, before we move on to another topic, is there anything you can share, Joel, about the state of development for the game?
Sure.
Oh.
So we've recently opened what we call persistent beta.
Oh!
What that means is that we're leaving it up 24/7. We have lots of players in there who are testing the game from start to finish.
But-
which means that they
but-
start in the desert.
Not me!
And that they're hopefully passing through the faction system, choosing their sides, and then eventually reaching the end game
Sad.
where that's helping us to test like the deep desert where people will be harvesting
That's the problem as a content creator.
and also testing things like the Landsrad, which is the end game political system. Now, not all of these features.
Most
are
of the time
online,
they
in
don't
fact.
want you there.
Look at the beta right now. There's a lot of fires to put out, and plenty of bugs they've been finding for us along the way. But yeah, so this is where we're
Bugs?
at. We've gotten
On
these
desert
features in.
planet?
We're trying to now
Helldivers?
gather sort of player feedback, player data on how they approach these things and whether they're really working and what we need to do to tweak them to be better.
That's what I love the most about betas. You give players an opportunity.
I think this is a
to
good
break
thing
your
they're
game
doing,
so
that
many
they have a
different ways,
beta
many
this
different things
early in
possible.
development.
Absolutely.
Is a
Like,
really
they
good
managed-
thing.
they managed to
More
do it
games
once
should
where
do
we could
this.
Log in and not move. And it was amazing because it was like we didn't even believe this could happen, and here it is. everybody frozen in place, just silently looking at each other, talking in chat,
Awkward.
unable to actually move their characters. So, you know, that's all part and parcel, it's part of the fun. But I do want to thank our beta testers for their patience.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
know we're testing your patience at the same time.
Again, that's what betas are
Give and
for,
take.
right? And
Now
some
with
games
the
should
beta
really
being more
start betas
consistent, or
early.
continuous rather,
Battlefield.
Does that also mean that people who are not in the beta can expect to see some more in-game footage soon? Some more glimpses of combat, for example?
Ooh,
Yeah,
more
exactly.
screenshots.
So as we move forward through the year, we're going to be showing more and more gameplay from the game. More of the combat system, which has been being revamped. Melee,
Through the
abilities,
year.
and all of the things that people would expect to see. And in addition to that, we're also expanding the beta over time. So again, more and more people are getting.
So I assume that we will not see this game this year.
It's a persistent beta, so it will grow larger and larger and begin to pick up momentum as the year continues.
Okay.
Joel, I would love to discuss a bit of a more technical aspect. Of course, Dune Awakening, it's a survival game, it's an MMO. Two different game types, which I'm sure on the back and front end have to be treated differently. How does the player experience those different aspects from a server infrastructure point of view?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
so a lot of survival games are either you have solo games like Subnautica, you have these like, you know, local server 8-player sort of Valheim style games. Then you have larger single server like Conan Exiles or Ark. You have large sort of players on a single map. And then with Dune, what we're trying to do is have these multiple maps where you can play with many, many hundreds of people. Right? So
Okay.
you'll be playing with lots of other players, right? So it is a large world to explore and share with others.
Can I assume I am in a server with many, many people. Can I move between servers, or can I group up with people on different servers? Is that possible?
Yeah, so when players start to play Dune Awakening, they choose a world.
Okay.
And that world allows them to, you know, it's almost like choosing a server in an MMORPG, but it's a large infrastructure of connected servers, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But the idea is that as a player, you join in a map, and from there, your experience should be relatively seamless in terms of how you explore and feel the world.
Okay, we will take a look at that as well.
The reason we call it a survival MMO, as opposed to just a survival game, is that most survival games do one map, one server, but we have multiple connected servers running in a single world. So this is kind of where we come from, and it also allows us to have a lot more players in this structure.
So how many people am I playing with on like one server, or rather even, can I play with people from other servers? Can I group up with them? Can I be in a guild with them?
Absolutely, you can be in a guild with people across servers. There's no problem there. Within your world, you can join a guild with anybody.
Okay.
Right? When you join the game, you start in a server which is a Hager Basin, right? We call it the Hager Basin. The Hager Basin is the starting server. It's a server with a minimum of 40 other players. It's a place where you can build, craft, survive, progress. If you want to play specifically with friends, you want to join the same version of Hager Basin, because Hager Basin can have multiple versions. And then from there, you move outwards.
I can select which Hager Basin I'm starting with. So like if we start in the game,
Can you switch between the worlds is the big question. Like I assume those are layers.
It tells you where your friends are playing.
Okay, perfect.
So it tells you exactly who's on which server. So it's
Okay.
which dimensions and which areas. So you'll know.
Okay, so you can see the layers and you can choose the
There's
layers.
different maps,
Okay.
on said servers.
That's
How much
awesome. That's good.
Between maps.
So once you're ready to leave the Hager Basin, you craft yourself an ornithopter, for example, and you fly out into what's called the Overland map. And the Overland map is a server, again, running.
Oh, this is the map.
Hundreds of other players on, and allows you to see all the locations in the world. So you physically fly between the Overland map.
Now you said my homies can come and pick me up. If you're a good homie and you don't want to put me in a dangerous spot, where do you bring me early on? Where can I meet other people? Where can I meet up with my guildmates even?
Yeah, so once you've sort of explored the Hager Basin and you...
This is an interesting concept they're doing here. This is awesome.
You have an overview of the entire
It's
world, and you can
different, and I hope it works out.
that you have as an option. And one of those options are the social hubs, Harko Village and Arakeen, which are differently themed based on the different factions in the game, obviously, right? So you can go and visit Harko Village. It's a safe space.
Wait, so we have only
kept
two
fairly
factions?
okay, peaceful by the Canley Peace. And in there, there's
Donkey
bars to visit, vendors to visit. There's the Chom exchanges there, and of course you and your friends can go dancing if you want in the clubs.
Okay, did not expect that to be part of the game, but you know, you gotta relax every once in a while as well. Now, once I'm done dancing and I slept off my probably hangover, I want to get out into the action. Where am I going?
So then you'll go back to the overland map and you'll fly to the deep desert. The deep desert is this massive area. It's 500 kilometers squared, or minimum 500 kilometers squared. It's actually a bit larger than that. There's and that's where you can meet hundreds of other players. There is probably going to obviously be a player cap if too many people go there, but you should be able to handle quite a lot of people. And that's a completely seamless set of servers that are all connected together. It's generally a PvP map with a strip of PvE as people enter so that they can be safe when they come into the map and don't get ganked. And then you head out into the desert and you have these adventures where you're harvesting spice.
Interesting.
I mentioned last time, it's kind of unique, is that we have this thing called the Coriolis Storm. And every week the Coriolis Storm...
So it's a bit like Eve,
sets it with a new landscape.
where you have your safe area, basically, and then you have a... Like, this is great.
Love that.
Because it invites people to play PvP at some point.
Games that you combined here together. I'm super interested to see how that all plays out. Now, before we say goodbye to the viewers, any last thoughts you're having on the server infrastructure and your approach to it?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
It's the important thing for me as a creative director to point out here is just we built this with the idea of making the game last and be expandable for a long time. So the idea of the overland map and being able to place new maps within the map allows us to just keep building on the world and giving players more content, more things to play.
God, I want to see more of the RPG elements and stuff.
Who knows what it looks like 5 years from now, right? That for me is the main thing. And I think survival games have typically struggled with this a little bit because of the one server, one map paradigm. That, making the world feel seamless and
I mean, if Funcom knows one thing, it's how to build MMOs and how to manage MMO with server structure. I mean, they started with MMOs, and I think Conan Exiles was the only non-MMO, so to speak.
Sure, I mean,
right?
We've just been at Summer Games Fest, and anyone who's Dune starved, wants some more information, should probably be out there hunting down articles, which I'm sure are spreading around the internet at this very moment. But of course, our next big beat coming up is Gamescom in August. Yeah. And there we'll be showing the game live and allowing people to have a look at the future of what Dune Awakening can and will be.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, Joel, it was so great to have you back again here today.
Thanks very much for...
I would love to be at Gamescom.
Always. And I'm super excited to see what you and
the team
have to offer at Gamescom. And in the meantime, remember to wishlist the game on Steam and follow our socials at Dune Awakening. Also, of course, make sure to join our servers on Discord to take part in all the discussions and keep up to date. We also have regular sneak peeks on TikTok, Instagram, as well as YouTube. But that's it from us here today. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and make sure
Thank you for having us.
Dune Awakening. All right.
Awesome. It will probably be in a month or two. Probably in August when Gamescom is around. They might do a live thing. Let's look at this very quickly. So I love the idea, right? This is a paradox / problem MMOs have quite a bit. Let me give you an example. Once Human, coming out soon, survival MMO. Right? But you have to decide if you want to play on a PvE server or do you want to play on the PvP server. And a lot of people will not do that. A lot of people do not touch the PvP server, even though the PvP on the PvP server is completely optional. You don't have to touch it. But the first thing people hear is, PvP server, don't like PvP, I hate it. Don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't care. Don't give a shit. Let me alone with that stuff. And then they move on, which I totally understand. But here, they don't make that distinction, but they also do not force you to play PvP because they make it pretty clear that, okay, this map is pure PvE. You never have to fear that somebody will attack you. Right? But on the deep desert, there's always PvP, and you have to keep that in mind. Now, why is this interesting? Because the option is there. You don't have to create a new character. You don't have to change servers. Like, if you feel that at some point you are ready, you feel confident, you feel like, okay, now I want to have at least a glimpse at what PvP is in this game, I can just check it out. If I still not enjoy it, I haven't really lost anything. I go back to my PvE server and I would just do my things there. But maybe you enjoy it and maybe you want to do some PvP like once in a while. And that is just really cool. That's super helpful. Also, the map is changing is, of course, an amazing feature. Another thing which I find interesting, so if I understand this correctly, and we have to wait on confirmation on this, is this is the only place where you can get spice, right? So do you need spice? And if so, for what? I hope, because that would end up enforcing people to have to do PvP, I hope that for the end game stuff, you don't need spice. Right? Like, hey, you want to craft this legendary weapon, just as an example here. I don't know how it works. You need 5 spice. So that means you have to go into the PvP area. I hope not that's how it works. Also, it seems like you cannot build in the PvP area. Right? Like, they made it sound like you have to go into the PvE area to do that, which is really interesting. Like, they're definitely trying something cool here. Yeah, character creation, I thought they might be a little bit more. They talked about like how there are a lot of sliders. It seems to be alright when it comes to the sliders here, right? It seems like you can also go into details, which is nice. It's alright. It's not crazy. It's not crazy Asia MMO, right? Where you can really do every single like area of the face or something like that. But it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. And you will probably mostly wear like some equipment, so who cares? What I would love to know is, so you get a dialogue trait, which is already fascinating. So there might be dialogue options, which you get only when you are choosing a certain home world, right? And then you get a unique emote, which is like, yeah, all right, cool. That doesn't really mean much. There's another dialogue trait, which is nobility. Let me see, what else have they showed? Oh yeah, the training trooper. Shiga wire cable. This is your starting ability. Yeah, I'm really wondering how much this is influencing. Like they said that you're not bound to a class or anything, and you can get the stuff later on. We have to see how that really affecting you. Also, you can get Bean Gesserit training as a male? Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I really like the idea. And there is the Sword Master deflection. They also said that they're reworking the melee. I mean, this will be the biggest problem. I think this will be the toughest thing they have to figure out in this game, is how strong is melee allowed to be. Because that's the big problem in this game. How strong is range combat? How strong is melee combat in those type of games? And it's a tough thing. It's a tough decision. Balance-wise, it's really hard to get like a middle ground. So I'm curious how that will look like. But yeah, there was quite a bit of information here. I really enjoyed this. I'm definitely curious to see more and maybe get like an overview, which is not just cut up in multiple episodes at some point. But it also sounded like that this game is not coming out this year. which I'm okay with. Take your time, especially Funcom games. Like, as somebody who has played Funcom since, oh god, decades. It has been a while. It has been a while. Um, the one thing I can definitely say about Funcom games is the more time they take, the better for everyone involved. So yeah, do that. But yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like underneath the video. And also, if you're new to the channel and you want to see more RPG games and survival games, please make sure to subscribe. I would appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for being here. Stay safe. Till then.